And Chukwudi Baja is right here with us for the newspaper review. Chukwudi, good morning.
Hello, Claire. Good morning. How are you doing today? Juma, good morning.
Good morning. It's good to see you, Chooks.
Same here.
Yeah, we have some papers this morning. Let me begin with the Leadership newspaper. And from the Leadership newspaper, above the masthead, we have Why I Most Cherish Leadership Award. That's coming from the Akwa Ibom State Governor, Umo Eno. And below the masthead, court orders seizure of GHL's crude cargo over alleged First Bank debt. Find details on page 7. At the side piece of the headlines in the Leadership newspaper, USSD quotes, NCC approves 9 banks disconnection. Find the details on page 36. Biden orders hail Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal. Details on page 7. 7 farmers killed in Niger crash. Find details on page 6. Inflation rises to 34.80% ahead of rebasing. Details on page 35. And the headlines in the Leadership newspaper. Tinubu to armed forces, your sacrifices won't be in vain. With riders, Shatima, Akpabio, Abbas, others lay wreath. Governor's tax military on national security. Chief of Army Staff reaffirms commitment to troops' welfare. And 67 CSOs seek end to Amnesty International harassment. You find details on page 17. Let me quickly go to the Blueprint newspaper, and above the masthead of the Blueprint newspaper, rising depot costs signal imminent petrol price hike. Experts warn. Find details on page 28. Below the masthead, news, kingmakers to Makinde, stop campaign of calumny over Alafi. Find the details on page 5. First Bank debunks misleading reports, reassures of gold standards. Details on page 27. CHAN 2024, Nigeria to tackle Senegal, Congo, Sudan in group stage. Find details on page 40. And at the side piece of the picture story, NNPCL, only company that publishes 100% statement for accounts. That's coming from the CEO of NNPCL, Kyari, remits 10 trillion naira into Federation account in September 2024. And CPPE to NAS, your obsession with revenue targets will hurt investors, increase poverty. With riders, urges CBN to pause on policy tightening measures, and inflation, like I said, hits 34.80%. That's coming from the NBS. And military bans drone operation in Northeast, warns against violation. Legions loud Tinubu on welfare and donates 150 million naira to widows. At the bottom plate of the Blueprint newspaper, NAS commends FIRS for hitting 21.6 trillion naira revenue in 2024. Half a trillion naira needed to fix decaying runways. That's coming from FAN. And reps assure of increased budgetary allocation for Information Ministry. Find details on page 7. That's good news, Claire.
Yes, absolutely, Jume. Okay, let's quickly take a look at Vanguard. And Vanguard has a lead story on why Boko Haram bandits are thriving. And the lead story says, as generals, commanders allege NGOs, others aiding terrorists. Details of that on page 14. And the picture story, of course, you see the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru. Of course, the lady there is CJN of Nigeria. And you have the Deputy Speaker also standing there, the President of the Senate. On the other side, of course, you have all the military, the leadership of the Nigerian military, all there, of course, during the Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day. Other stories trending, I think Jume has taken most of them, but let's see a little above the nameplate. Inflation rises to 34.8%. The festive period drives up demand. And Israel, Hamas reached Gaza ceasefire hostage release deal. 26. That's on page 26, and that's the good news coming out of the foreign scene. Chukwudi.
Thank you, Claire. Quickly, before we go local, characteristically, the Hamas-Israel ceasefire is recommended. The carnage, there are words you don't throw down on morning television, but we have to say the way it is. What has been happening to, particularly the civilian population in Gaza, is simply unacceptable. So the first impression you have is that the bloodletting is going to stop.
Yes, going to stop. But even while the ceasefire was being announced yesterday, there was an attack. There was an attack. I think
it takes effect from Sunday.
From Sunday,
it takes effect from Sunday. I would have loved it to take effect
immediately.
As soon as they submitted Hamas submitted their acceptance to the Qatari authorities.
Yes.
You know, Israel has also hinted. It's just that in the case of Israel, they would return to the cabinet for approval. That's how they run their show.
I hear that northern Gazans are already returning to.
They are asking them, please exercise a little restraint.
Yes, restraint.
But you can understand the yearning to return home. And what home are they really returning to? It's all been flattened.
As far as they are concerned, it is the land that matters.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, they will rebuild.
Your ancestral home is your ancestral
home. They will rebuild.
But it's such a pitiable scenario.
That reminds me of this song. I can't remember the name of the artist now. This is the land of my home.
Oh, okay.
I say, this is the land
of my home.
That's Eric Donaldson.
Eric Donaldson, yeah.
Oh, school is the best school, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I dance to that in my boogie shoes and my 6 inches.
Yes.
Mabu.
So
anyhow,
it's a land of their birth.
Yes,
so that's the attraction. That's the lure. For people to go back. I mean, there's this feeling. But one concern that, is ongoing now, that is being talked about, is whether or not that the second phase, because it's usually during the second phase
in phases,
that truths like this, collapse.
Yes.
So there's also this apprehension about, the second phase of the day, which is very critical.
Israel's insistence that he's going to have a buffer zone is throwing his spanner in the works to some people. Then their presence on the Philadelphia corridor, is also another area that is likely to throw up issues. But the most important thing is that they have said enough of the shooting, and all that.
And I know under a Trump presidency, there will be more stability.
Actually, Trump virtually delivered threats to Hamas and Netanyahu himself.
Yes.
Trump does not like crisis. To forget the ones that could be naturally generated within his cabinet because of
Forget
it's okay.
Nigeria meets OPEC.
I'm really happy for Gaza.
Nigeria meets OPEC quota.
Yeah.
As output rises 6.3% to 1,507 million barrels per day.
Yes,
remember, 1.5. Remember our target, our benchmark.
Yeah, our benchmark is our own matter. What OPEC has given to you to produce has to do. I hope I'm correct. Please, experts should smooth things out. The OPEC 1 has to do with international whatever. Yes. That's what
regulation,
I think.
Yes.
Because given the Dangote refinery coming on stream, NNPCL has started again, definitely we're going to need to supply crude at many points, as it were. The most important thing is that we are upping the game in terms of what hydrocarbons we're able to pull from the bowels of the earth. We must have further capability. And I want to say that I like what has been happening during this administration. It seems that many things are coming on stream gradually, hopefully by 2026, we'll begin to see the gains of what is going on at the moment.
But we have to be patient still.
Yes. Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Yes. I was saying, let us not make it a ritual. Let something really magnanimous and quite, something that recognizes the effort of these people, some kind of award, maybe to widows and all that. Maybe something like that is in place. I just want us to have a way of marking the fact that standing or falling, Nigerian soldiers are a great, asset to this country.
Briefly before we go, before we go, reps assure of increased budgetary allocation for information ministry.
I am chairman of a media and publicity committee, and or somewhere, and when they say that we can do it cost-free, social media, blah blah blah, some people undermine information.
Yes.
Information is at the root of everything.
Exactly.
I was telling them there, for instance, that without the media and publicity committee, you'll be winking in the dark. Nobody will know what you're doing. Yes. So information should never, ever one day be dropped below the clout it should have. It should be one of the ministries pulling after security in this country today, education, agriculture. I don't want to think of any other ministry but information in terms of the budgetary allocation.
Yeah. Especially
we have to think like that, please, so that they would also acquiesce, accept whatever we're presenting to them.
Okay. Yes, I just wanted to say that, especially now that even NOA needs a lot of funding, to do its job. And the job that the NOA has to do now is very critical.
It is.
That's why I say we must give necessary clout to the assignment, so that people would actually understand and accept that it is a big assignment we are. It depends on how we project the job of the NOA. It is a most important assignment.
Yes.
It's a most important role.
Well, I'm glad that the reps, are looking into it. Okay.